Hello, Serge here from the back porch. I have a statement here that was an answer to a question given in a blog, and I decided to read the answer before and not the actual question, because I think the answer brings up some good points that can help us with chipping. And it's all in reference to Craig 63 writing something about having messed up a chip in a big tournament. And it starts off, an answer from Steve Smith says, "Way to go, Craig. Club champion is in the crystal ball." And it goes on to say, hey, when you have flubbed chip shots in a tournament, have you ever been able to pinpoint what the main factor is causing them? I guess probably not, because that's why Craig was asking for some help here. I guess we all do it. It seems like easy chips and pitches go wrong a lot in competition and at the most inopportune times. I blow up on easy chips sometimes that are so easy I could take a whole bucket of balls and never mess up on one until just at the wrong time in a match. So I guess we could say maybe pressure gets in there. We know that when pressure acts up on us, we can get anxious. It builds up our adrenaline, and very likely we can get very fast and move on it. And if you move on a little chip shot, that can cause a big problem because of the fact that you move forward or behind, and you're very likely to either thin it, top it, forward. If you move forward and come behind, you can chunk it pretty bad. So we still have to look at keeping still. Steve went on to say, lately I've tried to stay more focused on slowing down the tempo on the backswing in those pressure situations. I imagine that in actuality it isn't slower than normal, but it keeps me from getting too quick, which seems to be the main reason for me messing them up. Another reason for messing them up is that for some reason under pressure, I have a tendency to slouch over with my back and lose my posture on those chips. I don't even know I'm doing it, but it must be subconscious attempt to really get down there where I can see the contact. Okay, so I think that's a very good point. So number one, chipping, pitching, putting, everything else still comes under the number one mantra of hitting a golf shot. The setup determines the motion. So you still have to get into good posture, and for good posture in the setup for a chip is fairly narrow stances, and this would go for short pitches too. Fairly narrow stance, because we want to hit the ball low, which means minimal air height and minimal air time. We want to stay and get our weight a little bit forward. Now, the biggest thing that I believe that can ruin a chip shot, even if one is staying still, is that many times, assuming the ball is right here, right where the toe line stick is, arrow is here. If we get our hands too far out in front, remember the hands always bottom out where basically the lead thumb is directly under the top of the sternum. So if you get your hands up here, and your hand gets to where it's supposed to be at the very bottom of its arc. Where's that club? It's bottoming out back there. So I'll bottom out behind it and chunk it, or might bounce the club into the ball and top it, or I can come right over the top of the ball and scull it or whatever. But the point is that's a critical point to set up. Again, if you get in here and you start slouching and you get your head down and you want to see impact, I think impact even with a chip is just like with swinging a golf club. I don't see impact. I think it's still very difficult to see impact. All I'm trying to do is just feel the shot and stay very, very quiet. And any chip or pitch, the follow through should basically be abbreviated to the point where with the height you want that club and the ball to go, is just like the same feeling of tossing the ball with your backhand. Your backhand is the club face. If you have a square grip, it's the club face. Whatever the back palm does, the club face does. And so that's how you relate to that. So I think the setup is critical. You have to get into that good setup, and the key is the thumb of the top hand is in line with the sternum, and if you go forward, that's where it stays. You can never get it ahead. You shouldn't have it behind. It's always going to bottom out right here. Remember, swinging the arms, they always bottom out at 6 o'clock. So you want that thumb directly under your sternum, so the club will bottom out exactly where you set the club up, which should be just directly behind the ball, so it'll come down onto the ball and then pinch that little divot. So setup is critical. I think the other big thing is that maybe we get forward, we don't have the wide knees anymore, but we still have to really make sure that we're staying quite still here, especially to impact, because I see a lot of people, never mind chipping, but also putting, when they get in here and their knees are wobbling back and forth. Whatever you get in here, you pretty much have to stay there, and there shouldn't be any movement until into the follow through. If the triangle of the arms and the club swing through far enough that your body needs to go a little bit to keep the momentum going in that direction. But We don't want all kinds of movement in the backswing. So the chip shot, just like putting, should be a quiet body, as quiet as we can, and the only movement there will be in the follow through, if there's enough follow through that as the triangle and especially the back arm goes forward, it might stop pulling the body. Then you gently let it go with follow the club in the triangle out there. The body will go with it. But the key is you don't want any do-wah-diddy stuff going on here in the backswing and all the way to impact. We're dead still from takeaway to impact. And that's a big critical key to successfully and consistently hitting solid, clean, crisp chips and pitches. So, setup has to be correct. Most important feature, lead thumb directly under the sternum. And then lastly, staying quiet, especially in the takeaway to impact. And those 2 points should really help you get your chipping and pitching under control. All right, so for those becoming a better short game wizard, that's it for the search for today, and I'll be talking to y'all again soon.